Welcome to Proteo Weekly. Today I want to talk about Juneteenth, what it represents, and why it remains relevant to businesses today. Juneteenth is recognized as a federal holiday in the United States, but many may not fully understand its history or why organizations take time to acknowledge it. As business leaders, professionals, and community members, understanding significant moments in our nation's history helps us build stronger workplaces, stronger communities, and stronger businesses. At the end of the day, we want to acknowledge the past to create an environment where people feel like they belong. So let's explore what Juneteenth is, why it matters, and what lessons businesses can take from it. Juneteenth commemorates June 19th, 1865, the day when Union General Gordon Granger arrived in Galveston and announced that the enslaved people in Texas are free. What's more remarkable is that this occurred more than 2 years after President Abraham Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation. 2 years. While the proclamation legally declared freedom for enslaved people in the Confederate States, enforcement depended on Union military presence. In many areas, particularly Texas, the news and enforcement of emancipation was delayed. Juneteenth marks the day that freedom was finally communicated and enforced for many who had remained enslaved despite legal declaration years earlier. For generations, African American communities celebrated Juneteenth as a day of freedom, remembrance, education, and community. And then finally in 2021, it became a federal holiday in the United States. Why does this matter? Why is this such an important day? When you dig in and you study Juneteenth, one lesson stands out for sure. Progress on paper does not always translate immediately into reality. And I think that's a powerful point, even in today's terms, where people can write something up on a wall, but it doesn't really matter unless there is action taken behind those words. The Emancipation Proclamation changed the law, but it took time, effort, communication, and action before its impact reached everyone. Businesses understand this concept very, very well. Creating a policy is one thing, implementing it effectively is a totally other thing. You can develop a strategy, but if people don't understand it, what does it even matter? Committing to something is just words. Turning that commitment into daily actions is what creates real change. Juneteenth reminds us that leadership requires more than just announcing intentions. It requires follow-through, communication, accountability, and execution. Now, I'm sure this sounds a little bit like a stretch. This was a massive event in the history of the U.S. Freedom to people. And I'm trying to rely on it, and bring it back to how this is important and how you should action this in your own business. But remember, businesses do not operate in a vacuum. They are made up of people from different experiences, background, perspectives. We've all lived very different lives. And when we take moments to celebrate holidays like Juneteenth, it creates many opportunities. Number one, it provides an opportunity for education. Understanding our history helps us better understand the experiences of colleagues, clients, and community members. This is something that people have been celebrating for years, and I hadn't heard of it until 2021. And I went and looked it up. I've read about it. I'm no expert, but a little bit of education is definitely better than none. And I can appreciate what an important date this is. Secondly, it encourages thoughtful leadership. Great leaders recognize that people bring different experiences to the workplace. A deeper understanding of those experiences can strengthen communication, trust, and collaboration. Just last week, I spoke to Michelle about belonging as we celebrate Pride Month. People want you to know about them. They want to feel heard. And for many people in the U.S., this is an important part of their history. They have family members that this affected very deeply. And this moment changed the trajectory of their lives and the generations to come's lives. And this is something that should be remembered. Thirdly, it reinforces the importance of opportunity. Businesses succeed when talented people have the ability to contribute, grow, develop their careers. Remember, there's this concept of equity versus equality, and I sometimes think it gets lost in the message. And I know days like this can be very political and used in a very political way, but we have to remember the past so we don't make the same mistakes in the future. And by recognizing important dates like Juneteenth, like recognizing important months like Black History Month and Juneteenth, it gives us opportunity to be educated, learn, and understand where people are coming from, and provide people with the thought and understanding and understand what they're going through, what they're living, and be compassionate towards the way they're seeing life. Lastly, it's about the importance of listening. Best business decisions come when you understand different perspectives and realize that those perspectives will be very different. But if you can find a way to bring those viewpoints together, you will have stronger solutions, better innovation, and improved decision making. You know the whole thing, 2 ears, one mouth, right? Let's listen more. Pay attention to what people are saying. If for businesses, pay attention to what your customers are saying. At its core, Juneteenth is about freedom and opportunity. And these are values that align closely with what many businesses strive to create for employees and customers. This is what the American dream is built on, freedom and opportunities. And I think it's something that we should all take time to think about, and worth spending some time looking back on the history of what Juneteenth is and what happened from that point to this point. There's a lot that went on as well. There's the slaves were freed, but there wasn't freedom for a long time at the same time. So we mustn't forget that. Observing Juneteenth does not have to be complicated, and it shouldn't be a situation like many holidays where it's just a day off. Organizations can encourage learning through educational resources, discussions, guest speakers, like bring people in to talk about it. I tried to do a little bit of education before I got on here to make sure I'm not going to sound like a total idiot. I'm always nervous about talking about these topics. There's a reason I brought Michelle on, to at least keep me in line. My team does not represent this part of the community, does not represent the African American, but we do have clients. I try to listen. I know I'll see a lot of great resources being put out over the next week. Listen to them, pay attention to them, share them with people that you know. Make sure that you're taking some time on all important dates. I'm highlighting Juneteenth right now, but there's many other holidays, religious holidays, cultural holidays. Pay some attention to them. Even if it is just to expand your own knowledge. The more you interact with different people, the more you listen and learn about their history, the more you see new experiences, go to different places, your thought processes grow because you aren't stuck with a singular view of this is the way I live my life, this is the way everything should be, this is the way I feel about it. Give your mind opportunity to grow, learn, listen, pay attention. It will make you a better person. And if you're a leader, it will definitely help your leadership. Just remember, with all these holidays, we shouldn't just be recognizing it. It shouldn't just be some sticker up on the wall, but it is to learn something very meaningful from it. As we recognize Juneteenth, we remember an important chapter in American history. We acknowledge the struggles that many endured, celebrate progress that has been made, and recognize that meaningful progress often requires both commitment and action. That's a lesson for all of us. Commit, take action. That is progress. From a business standpoint, I think the lesson is very clear. Communication matters, leadership matters, follow through matters, and creating opportunities for people to succeed matters. Juneteenth reminds us that history is not something we just study. It is something we should learn from. I encourage you all to take some time this week. Go watch a YouTube video. Go learn a little bit more about the history, how this came about, why it's celebrated, and expand your thoughts and processes. And do that for this holiday and any other holiday. Celebrated people that don't have the same beliefs, background, or don't look the same as you. It is always interesting to learn. There's always something that you can take away from it, and it will improve the way you see the world. And realize, even though we all look different, sound different, and do different things, we're still people at the end of the day. We all have the big goal of being happy. And when you take all the other noise away, we're the same. Until next time.